HorrorDeconstruction.
What's up, everybody? It's the HorrorDeconstruction. You can find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Give us a subscribe, like us, hit that bell with your host Komp and
Shalv,
as well as
Dangle.
we want to thank Thea for dropping her lawsuit against us. She ordered us, well, for me to lose weight and for Danny to get plastic surgery, but she dropped it, so we're glad that she's back on the show.
I did it anyway, though.
And today's film is...
I've got 4 cheek implants. Truth or dare? Question mark. Wait, truth or dare? A critical madness. 1986 or 1985, because it says both.
That's great. Truth or Dare, A Critical Madness, 1986. Mike Strauber catches his wife, Sharon, in bed with his best friend, Jerry! He gets mad and takes off to embark on an adventure of murder and self-mutilation in demented games of Truth or Dare.
Wow.
Directed by Tim Ritter and Yale Wilson. It took 2 guys to direct this? Oof, maroon.
Do you think it's John Ritter's relative? I wonder.
Written by Tim Ritter. I was going to say such an offensive joke there. Starring John Brace.
Well, I was going to say, why couldn't his brother have survived or died instead of him?
It seems like you've read minds. Mary Finero, Bruce Gold, and a whole bunch of other people. There's a guy named A.J. McLean. Oh, that's right. One of the Backstreet Boys.
Really?
This was his first film. Yeah, he played Little Mike. He played the little boy that had the glasses on.
Oh,
when his
wow.
mother says, "You made better friends." You know that part?
Is that the one that the mom that he... No, never mind. Okay, go on.
So, why did I pick Truth or Dare, A Critical Madness, 1986?
Didn't Elijah Wood recommend it?
That's absolutely the fact. Why? Because I actually saw the trailer for this a long time ago. Long, obviously, because it came out in 86.
I mean, Elijah Wood has great taste.
So, I had seen the trailer for this, and I was like, "Boy, that's a trailer. That's a scene. That's a series of images for sure." And then later on, I saw an interview. I kept listening to podcasts where Elijah Wood and his producing partner from Spectre Vision, they have a podcast where they talk about films, and they were being interviewed by another interviewer for this show called Postmortem, I believe. And they asked him, it was either him or the other show, the movies that made me. They asked him, what movie, really got you into horror film? And Elijah Wood kept saying, A Truth or Dare, A Critical Madness. And he's like, he ranks it as one of his favorite movies. I don't know whether he said it's good or not. He just says that it's a movie that and you can actually see him on fucking out of Conan O'Brien over here.
That, makes me like the movie so much more, actually.
I know, because it's so cheesy. So then I decided to see the trailer again, and the trailer is just unbelievably terrible. There's no dialogue in it until the very end, and you hear this syncopated, weird techno, early 80s techno type of music, or somebody, much like how I do music, you just press a finger on one button and let it play out, and then you say that you're a musical genius.
Yeah.
So I was just
enamored.
I was
John Carpenter, a little bit.
But that's like an actual carpenter, like a guy who cleans houses and fixes houses. So he has the musical score equivalent of that guy. So Truth or Dare, Critical Madness, we took a long time to actually find it. I actually did find it on YouTube on a channel that I will not name, but it has a lot of really terrible shot-on-video movies. Actually, one that I was watching today because I was so compelled. Like with you guys, I'll show you a bad movie so we can get some comedy value of it. I know there was one recently that I had picked, but it was so
Alex actually told me and Thea not to watch a movie because I said
we are not doing this one because it's so bad.
I think that's a first. We watched the Dragon Ball movie.
You said, let's do this one. And then, 3 hours later, you were like, never mind. I take it back. We're not doing it.
Absolutely. That movie is so,
we've watched some really bad movies, so the fact that you're saying not to watch it makes me so intrigued.
It means there's nothing even good to laugh
maybe
about.
Eventually we will do it, but it was so bad. But then I was looking at some of the other videos.
We watched Birdemic, Alex.
Yeah, but we can laugh at that. This one, I didn't know what was going on the screen. That's how bad it was. I didn't know what it was like.
Indiscernible.
There was nothing.
Just complete gibberish.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like there was nothing concentrated in reality. It was like there was a million things going on at once. It was weird, even though there was supposedly it's the simplest storyline. But we'll get to that movie if we ever do. But I saw this other one called Scary Tales. Holy crap, we got to do that one. It's so terrible. And I don't like watching bad movies. I'll watch a bad movie because it's funny, but this
I love
was,
watching
like,
bad
so
movies. This was a really bad movie, and it was enjoyable in a weird way.
Right. So, Truth or Dare, Critical Madness. Thea, how does this movie start off?
This movie starts off with, they're just banging. You just see people banging right off the top.
That's right. It's Sharon, right?
Sharon.
Well, but first you hear that overlay of the creepy voice. Like, you want
to play Truth or Dare?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, that is right at the top. Just so you know what you're getting into.
Yeah, as soon as I heard it, I was like, uh-oh.
It's what's funny thing about this is that the movie it looks like it's shot on film. So
yeah.
It's like actually shot on film.
But it's so the version I saw was so pixelated
yeah, right.
that I had to shrink it down small to understand what I was looking at.
I was surprised it was actually 2 directors on this, and now I can see why, because visually there's almost some competence to it. It's just the way that it's edited and directed, I guess it's bad.
And everything about the script.
I saw a commercial on YouTube, I saw a trailer on YouTube. They actually made it up to a part 4, which I think came out in 2011.
Really? We should watch them all.
What? And it's shot on digital video, and like this one compared to that looks like fucking 1917. You know that new movie that came out about war? Like it's all beautifully shot by Roger Deakins and stuff like that.
Okay.
And the 4th one looks like horrible, like unbelievable, like. And they try to move it into the new age of like, which I think is interesting. It's people daring each other through apps to kill one another and stuff like that.
Wait, it's not about this character anymore?
No, Mike Strauber's not in it. But the funny thing is,
but he's the best part.
I know, but here's the thing: there's a guy who's inspired by Mike Strauber, so he's trying to paint his face to look like the mask that he wears in it. Okay. But he's using a still from the first movie. So somebody must have taken a photo of Mike Strauber with a professional camera while he was murdering these people from the first movie. Anyway, so Sharon is sleeping around with, I guess it's one of Mike Strauber's friends, Thea?
Jerry, yeah.
So and what is Mike Strauber, played by John Brace? How would you, describe his acting in this?
While we were watching, because of course Hez watched this with me.
Oh, good.
Hez.
Yeah.
Hez is like, you got to stop talking to these guys.
As soon as he starts screaming when he finds them, it felt very Nick Cage. But like, like Nick Cage and Jim Carrey had a baby.
That would be a great baby, though. Come on.
I mean, it's something.
Somebody stop me. He's going to be like that every 5 minutes.
Exactly.
It is literally the first 15 minutes of this film is
the way it
Mike
keeps
Strauber.
cutting back and forth between the sex and him driving, the
same shot of his wife taking a phone call with her lover. And it's like, I guess we're supposed to see that all the hints that he missed that his wife was
putting the pieces together.
I didn't understand he missed it when he tried to have a dinner with her and she comes off as an absolute android. And that's obviously because she's a bad actor.
Yeah.
But she it's really bad because she's literally looking at a bunch of fish while he's trying to profess how much he cares about her. And dude, can't you you can take a hint. I think there was
one good actor in this movie.
The cop, the main cop, right? The old guy that's trying to chase him down at the end.
Yeah. That was.
Yeah, he's actually good. He's bad, but he's still good compared to everybody else.
I guess he's good, but maybe if I saw him with not horrible actors, he probably wouldn't be so good.
But the first 15 minutes of the film are literally him driving around. This movie gave you 2 actually great songs. One of them goes for about 20 minutes.
I don't think that's technically a song. It's a loop.
Yeah,
that's exactly the guy thought he was a genius. He thought he was that French duo with the masks.
I enjoyed it though, honestly.
I did.
I mean, you knew you were getting something every time that came on.
Yeah.
There's a part literally where it goes well, he's driving the car and then it stops and you hear natural sound as the car makes a turn. No noise or anything. Just drives off, and I was like, "What was the point of that? Like, what happened there?" And then the other classic song, "Do do 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 do," which plays in the trailer, and I could not stop playing that song in my head. And it's awful. So the first 15 minutes is Mike Strauber obsessing over his failed relationship with his wife. So Thea, what is Mike's Mike do after he decides to, change his life?
So he gets out of the house. He picks up the first hitchhiking woman he sees, and they go camping because that's naturally what you do at this point.
We got to also say that we skipped over. Sorry, that he pulled out a gun to shoot himself in the mouth. A gun that I think vanishes in the movie. It just doesn't. Unless that gun...
I don't even remember.
There are a lot of weapons in this movie that I don't really understand the origins.
He has a mace.
Or where they come from.
No, the best part is
when
he pulls out an AK-47 or whatever, that kind of high-powered rifle out of nowhere, because we didn't see him rob a gun store or anything. Like, him having guns, maybe that makes sense. He keeps them in his car, I guess.
Sure, but a literal, as Danny said, a literal, like, medieval mace... Why?
See, here's the thing. I think the best that the movie gets is its last 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, because at that point, like, that's what the whole film should have been. If you can describe that scene, Danny, when he pulls out the mace, what happens?
Oh God, this woman. This is my favorite scene in the movie, by the way. Yeah. This woman is just harassing him, like, "What are you doing? You can't park here. Where were you?" Like, just saying all this shit to him.
And he's preparing like Rambo. He's putting on multiple nunchucks.
Like, and she's just not even aware of what he's doing. Like, if I saw someone doing this, I'd be running away from them.
And that's what I think the movie should have been, because in that last 15 minutes of the film, when he has that. What is the mask made out of? Copper that they say? A mask made out of copper that when he gets shot actually sucks into his face like he's wearing a rubber mask. But anyway, and I'm glad somebody else saw that because it drove me insane. But the fact that when he's putting the weapons on him, and I thought that was hilarious, and they were in on it. Like the directors knew it was so silly what he was doing. He was going for his last stand. Well, just the shot of it alone. Maybe that was more one of somebody else giving him the idea, like, oh, let's make it funny, let's go even crazier. But that should have been the whole fucking film. The film takes itself way too serious. But anyway, Thea, let's get back to when he's actually driving this random woman to go camping.
So he drives this woman. Wait. What happened to the car? Because I truly don't remember. All I can remember was when they were around.
He picks up. He actually stops at a camp place, and there's like what are those guys called? Like a camping.
The ranger.
Ranger, right? Ranger, yeah. There's no hint that there's nothing wrong with this woman that he's with, because he's handing them both items and talking to them like normally. Mm-hmm. But what is the big reveal, Thea, when he goes camping with this woman, and what actually happens to show this reveal?
Well, first she says her name's Sharon, which is his wife's name, and he's like, "What the fuck?" And she's like, "You told me her name, but also it's my name." Also, let's play.
Two
and then
people
she's like,
can't
also,
have
let's
the
play
same
Truth
name.
Or Dare, this thing that clearly triggers you every time it comes up. And then he's like, "Oh, okay." And then she starts telling him to do crazy shit, and he's like, "No, I don't want to do it." And then she's like, "Well, guess what? I'll just fucking rip my." He's like, "Well, poke your eye out," and she's like, "Okay," and she fucking does it.
I have to say that scene was a little legitimately like, oh shit, like it was a little creepy.
And then he's like,
I got like a little creeped out. Like it was a good scene.
Yeah, I think what it is that I think they were trying to do the hard. Remember when we saw that movie? What is it called? Something Moon, Burning Moon. That German gore
the really
really
bad one. You talked about it recently.
Really terrible German horror movie, but I loved it anyway because it's so bad. So I think this was sort of. I think there's obviously a subgenre of people that want to see more gore in their film without any context.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of it. Like, I didn't think the gore was going to be. I thought obviously the gore was going to come to that level eventually, not kind of start out with that. But I guess in the video age of the 1980s, you want to see gore. You want to see really grotesque shit. That's why, like, Faces of Death and all that weird shit that used to come out.
That's what Trauma's for, though.
Right, but then they really went for it with this. But Trauma's like funny gore. This is like, I guess they're trying to be shocking gore. And like, so there was like no reason to put that stuff in the movie. Obviously, it must have happened, right? Because he did chop his finger off, correct? I guess he was doing whatever.
Yeah.
She pops her eye out. She doesn't exist because apparently the big reveal is that he has dissociative identity disorder. Although I don't think they called it that in this film. And was that the part where he had the flashback about him as a kid and the kids were playing Truth or Dare?
That happened like 10 times or something.
I just like that.
The first time we see it is early, I think. I think it's before that.
as a kid, he opens up his fucking artery in his wrist, and his mother's like telling him you need better friends. And I was like, what? Like, wouldn't you be shocked that your kid is walking around with an open wrist, gushing blood? Not really gushing. So what do you think is Mike is then taken to, I guess, a mental facility, right? Like he's I
love the text. Didn't you guys love the text under the each time? It's like just like a scrolling thing, like blah blah blah, mental institution.
Every time, and it's like, yeah, we remember what it looks like from 5 minutes ago. Thanks.
They just used the same shot, I swear.
Yeah.
There was, for some reason, a subplot for no reason of, I guess, these two psychiatrists. The woman that lets him go eventually early because they decide to let him go
yeah.
in the hospital. And there's this older guy with a beard. I don't know why a psychiatrist would have a fucking gun on him. And I guess this was the 80s. Maybe that was their final treatment for certain people. And so this woman is like, they let him go. And he's walking around, and surprisingly, well, I guess not surprising in reality, he hunts down his ex-wife and her boyfriend.
Yeah, immediately. First thing he does.
I wouldn't think that would be the first thing that he does, because, like, you know, that's usually the end of a horror film.
Yeah.
Because, like, usually they would, like, make the wife a saint towards the end, because the guy was obviously fucking crazy.
Well, the wife is horrible.
She is. They're all horrible anyway, but,
you kind of feel bad for the guy, like Mike.
Because she had, you know, said that. No, he had actually mentioned that there had been an issue before of, you know, mental illness, and the new job had fixed it. But I guess, you know, your wife fucking around with you drives you crazy enough to.
How does the job fix that
well, he
level
said he had a nervous
mental
breakdown
illness?
like 2 years before or whatever it was, and
Right.
I was like, that's not that long ago.
I know that you're like, oh, I can go to work,
Yeah.
and you're fucking, you know, talking to walls and shit. So, you know, can you describe the scene, Danny, when if you can remember him trying to kill his wife and her boyfriend?
Well, I remember he kills the boyfriend, but then he keeps hiding because his wife keeps turning towards him or something. It's really
Why does
silly.
that bother him? Like, why does it bother him?
He's gonna kill her anyway. Why does he need to hide?
I just know that he kills the
do it.
He kills the husband downstairs, and he goes upstairs and like
But he doesn't kill her that time, right? Doesn't she escape?
No, he doesn't, because he has the smoothness of like Tom and Jerry, like when Tom's trying to sneak up behind Jerry to kill him. For some reason, it's like a cartoon bad guy with a knife that he raises above her head. She turns around and stabs him in the gut. And it's literally the next 3 minutes.
And then he goes back to the mental institution with the scrolling text beneath it.
I really enjoyed when she went to make a phone call to 911, then stopped, went and checked that her husband or her boyfriend was dead, and then came back and then made the call. And I was like, just make the call.
I like the part where the extended long take of him walking out of the house bloody, dying for literally almost 4 minutes, then him walking off into the background for no reason. It's just like Tim Ritter must have like watched and goes, I'm a fucking genius. Like it's just like he's disappearing into the shadows, just like his soul.
You hope that they're making it like in humor. You hope so.
I mean, you gotta hope.
I'm sure people laughed at it.
What else did he make? I'm curious.
I'll check his IMDb in a second, but he collapses in the street, and a couple gets out of their car to watch him, and a cop gets out, and it's just like the longest scene. They must have had to pad this movie out because it's the longest scene of these people going, "Oh my God, he's dying!" and the cop's like, "Don't touch him. There's nothing you can do for him now." And they're just standing there for like 2-3 minutes, and I'm like, "What's going on?" Like,
you know what is a great scene too? I love the whole side plot about the two cops, the stupid one and the good one, and like he set fire to a homeless man.
he killed a homeless man inside of a fucking shack, like, and nothing happened. The main guy said he's gonna be in trouble for it, but they treated it like if it was like if they just didn't immolate a guy and turn them into a horrible looking skeleton. It's very bizarre. So Thea, what happens to when he's at the new facility, when they bring him into the new mental institution? When they have not an intern, but
he's still directing. Nurse. Holy shit!
I know he's making shit.
Hey, good for him.
Oh, man. He's doing all of the I dared you, Truth or Dare Part 5.
Yeah.
There's a new one? Oh,
Sharks
boy.
of the Corn, High Fear.
I kind of want to see Sharks of the Corn. Not gonna lie.
Is that like Children of the Corn, but with sharks?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, one of them has a big, nice hat, a round hat.
It says,
so
the poster says, Stephen Kang's Sharks of the Corn.
No!
Oh, God.
Oh, boy. That almost sounds... So, Thea, let's talk about this fantastic DIDS scene when he's playing Truth or Dare with who?
His imaginary patients. So he imagines 2 other patients in the facility, and he tells them to cut themselves and to put a grenade in their mouth, and then they're like, well, the one is like, well, you haven't done anything, and then he's like, great, I'll cut my face off.
I just love the reaction of the. I love the reaction of the old man as he's sawing his hand off.
He did a really good impression.
He's actually pretty good. He's pretty good.
And the weird guy. I assume the guy who played the punker who put the grenade in his mouth was like some sort of scene person, like a weird guy, because he had a really weird, strange name, and I can't find it for some reason, but. It's just a bizarre scene, and it's just an excuse to show gore again, which is fine.
I did enjoy it, though.
But it is nice that he's able to have... I thought it was interesting that he's able to have these sort of... it's very offensive to people with mental illness, but it's nice that he's able to just pull out a grenade like a cartoon character, and a guy like blows his fucking head off.
Yeah, that would be fun to see, honestly. Like, if you could just see that whenever you wanted, that's cool.
Yeah, so they decide that he is not fit for coming out, and being with the population.
What was his first clue?
But there's a great scene where this subtle racism, where this one African American gentleman is listening to his headphones.
Oh, what the fuck was with that whole scene?
Yeah, the guy's telling him about stop with his jive.
His jive music. Listen to your jive music, or whatever.
I couldn't believe that.
It was wild.
We didn't see one pencil in this scene, but miraculously it ends up in the young man's head.
It sure
kills
does.
him. And Mike is wearing... He looks like a prototypical version of a Slipknot person, because he has a jumpsuit and a mask and everything. And if he had a bass, then he would be straight up for the band. I do like the mask, actually. I do like the mask. It's something cool about it.
It's very simple.
Yeah, it's very simple. It looks interesting.
Kind of reminded me of like Leslie Vernon's mask a bit.
Yeah, right. A movie, for some reason, it seems to be the what is it called? The Rise of Leslie Vernon.
Behind the Mask.
The name of that movie. Behind the Mask, which is for some reason is gigantic on the internet, but still can't even get a sequel. Which I don't understand how that is, but whatever. It was a fun movie too.
It was great.
So this leads to probably one of the more impressive mass murders in film. Just about how absurd it is. Do you remember what the first mass murder incident is? After, obviously, he fucks up the cop and runs out and steals a car.
Isn't it the mace?
No, there's a woman with her baby in a stroller that he he just smashes into, gets out of the car. He looks at the woman.
Looks at the woman and then backs up on her.
Yeah, the woman turns into somebody else, and I was just like, whatever. Gets back into his car, drives out. Then we show that other detective. There's a lot of death in this film, and it's some of the most scumbaggiest looking people I've ever seen in cinema. There's that creep with the 2 girls. Surprisingly, they let the 2 girls go away for some reason. Like, they found an excuse for the 2 girls to run out of the car and not get killed.
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. But that guy,
also,
the asshole.
Crazy, or when they got out of the car, was he aiming a gun at them and none of them seemed to notice?
Yeah, it seemed they didn't give a fuck. They really didn't care. It's something must have happened in the 80s. I mean, it could be the fact that
cocaine.
It could be the fact that maybe he's imagining most of this because the part where he's in the but I don't think so, because the other cop is saying that he's killing people left and right.
Yeah.
So it makes you believe that he's actually doing all this stuff, although that would have made it much more... I'm looking at the scene right now, he is aiming a gun at the 2 women, and they're calmly walking out of the car, offended by the guy who's driving them. Anyway. And that leads to a big Hollywood-style like car explosion out of nowhere, which I thought was actually pretty good. But...
Well, the slow motion of the car, too, was great. It does it in 5 stop motion things. Like, it's like the weirdest.
There's obviously that
editing.
the detective with the Hawaiian shirt that blows up a homeless man inside of a shack. Did he think that he was getting shot at? I think that's what happened, right? And then he just decided to blow. It sounded like he was
getting shot at.
It sounded like there was a gunfire that went off, unless he has the same thing that fucking Mike Strauber has. Any favorite deaths in this film?
Thea, you could go first.
Oh, God.
I know what mine is.
I mean, the mace.
I think you and I have the same one.
The fucking mace to the head.
Yeah, that's mine too.
Right?
That's mine too.
Is it? You know what I think a close one for me is the kid the kid with the baseball glove when he drives out the side of his car with a chainsaw and kills the kid with the chainsaw.
Yeah, I forgot that one. That's great.
That was the best one for sure.
You know what? Actually, this is a good movie.
It's insane.
I know, because it's like so stupid. It's so stupid that
it's
great. Like,
it took me like I think 4 days to finish it because I could not could not handle more than 15 minutes. Like, it was like killing me.
See, there's the thing about like certain bad movies that are bad where it turns itself around and you can enjoy it because you laughed at the absurdity of it, and that's certainly this type of film, and that's probably why obviously that's why it's had such a long standing, I guess. I haven't heard about it that much.
I mean, this is the movie that got Elijah Wood to like basically make Spectre Vision. That's great.
But the mace in the face is a fantastic gore effect. It really is. Obviously, it must have been like it was a rubber mace.
I just love how she goes from so loud to silent.
It actually, in the shot looked pretty good. Like, even Hez was like, oh,
yeah,
okay.
Yeah, because I think the mace, obviously the effect, they must have had blood inside the mace, so when it smacked her in the face, it went up, and it looked very effective. It was really well done. Mm-hmm. And there's obviously like a 5-minute scene with him using a chainsaw on an obviously plastic paper door or something like that to tear it open.
Yeah.
I was impressed that he did kill his wife at the end, because they pulled some sort of shit out of Cobra. Mm-hmm. If anybody's spoiler for a Stallone movie, Cobra, where I think Stallone dresses up as a woman, and at the end of the movie you think the bad guy's gonna kill this woman at the end, and turns it around and she shoots him, and it's actually Stallone in a dress.
Wait, but he's like huge. How could he have dressed up as a woman?
He must have thought the woman had gigantism after like 5 minutes or something.
It's like a 7-foot tall, muscle-bound man. Like, yeah.
As she was talking like this. But the fact that the guy, the psychotherapist, was in the shower getting wet in his 80s clothing with his nipples protruding through it, shoots him a couple times. I was actually very, very impressed that he kills his wife at the end of the film, because you would think that in the 80s, because Mike Strauber is such a bad guy, which he is. He's a pretty terrible person in this film. The wife's pretty bad. I don't think she's as bad as Mike Strauber, but she is a shithead.
Yeah, but she doesn't have an excuse. He does. She's crazy.
Danny.
All right.
You're not an MRA guy. Okay, so they shoot Mike Strauber about 150 times. I still like his look. But she gets killed, and I was very surprised that it happened. And they decide to go with peace. They do not kill Mike Strauber at the end of this, which I was very impressed with, because obviously they wanted to leave it up for a sequel. Overall, thoughts about this film and how it affected you?
Deeply affected for the rest of my life.
How did Hez like it?
I want Nick Cage to be in the remake.
Oh God, that would be
wonderful. While I was watching the credits, there was a person named Asbestos Felt, which really made.
That's the guy who played the guy with the. That's the guy who played the guy with the grenade in his mouth. So I assume he must be a rocker.
His name is Asbestos.
Asbestos
Felt.
Is that real? Or is that like a stage name?
I don't know.
He looked like that would be his name in real life, though. That guy had a very strange look to him.
I really also enjoyed that there was a zany cop comedy in the middle of it.
Yeah.
There were elements that could be so fucking good, so good.
It was like, in my opinion, this is like the most detailed amount of effort to make a horrible movie like I think I've seen. Maybe.
I think what happened is that
theme song for the movie that plays at the end.
That's an amazing song.
I think
chorus.
Hold on, I think that the trivia, which was weird, is that the woman who sang it, I think she had actually sang a Bond theme like an actual scene for a
Wow.
Bond movie.
So she just needed some money.
I mean, her voice wasn't that great.
But yeah, it is. He went on to do a couple of films. And Asbestos Asbestos Felt was the last movie he was in 2012 called Girls Gone Dead. So he stayed. He stayed active for a while, but Tim Ritter is still kicking strong. I'm surprised it was Truth or Dare Part 5, and that's the thing, because Truth or Dare, this one looks like it's actually shot on film. I don't think film was fucking cheap to shoot on back in the 80s. It must have been even three times as much as it is now. But obviously he had the money for this one, but he didn't have money for the rest of them, because everything else I think was shot on video. And it looks like it's shot on video, so he must have had
the quality of the video I saw was so pixelated.
I feel like we should. I didn't even think about it because I wouldn't want to put us through it, but if Thea says so, then why not?
I'm down.
But he's active. He had a trailer for a film called Killing Spree that I wanted to see. But he's into it. He's
But
produced.
this actor Mike Strauber is not in all of them, right?
Yeah, I think he was only in the first one, right?
I guess, I don't know.
And I think they use archival footage. Maybe he realized that, there was a greater calling to his life after the fantastic role of Mike Strauber.
What do you think he's doing right now?
He's probably hiding somewhere. He hears that theme song doo, 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 in his fucking head all day.
He's in the woods talking to a hallucination.
Wow, he directed a film. Tim Ritter directed a film called Earth Girls Are Sleazy, which is a pun name on an actual film with Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey, and
Earth Girls are easy.
Which is an absolutely bizarre film itself. Oh boy, Tim Ritter, good for you.
Oh my God,
good.
Mike Strauber actor was in one episode of Cheers, and we need to track it down.
Oh, I gotta find Mike Strauber.
Yeah.
Yes, that guy seems like a cool dude, but he's not back for any of the other movies, which sucks. But anyway, so any negatives with the film?
Well, I don't know, but on IMDb somebody commented really angrily, $1 million? They made this with $1 million?
Wait, no, I'm looking at the budget on the thing. It says $200,000.
Well, that's what this person is saying. I don't know. I don't know where they're getting their information, but...
I mean, maybe with inflation.
Yeah.
That's true, maybe.
But no, right? I'm looking right at the wiki. It says 200.
Sophia, what is your rating for Truth or Dare? A Critical Madness, 1986.
I'm going to give Truth or Dare. I don't even know what score to give it. Because it's just, it feels like it exists out of time and space. Let's give it a 6.5. Because it's it's really fun, but it's not a good movie.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Well, what about if you were to rate it as a bad good movie?
Okay, as a bad good movie, I would give it an 8. I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna give it 8 out of a weird, what looks like a potato, like a foil mask. Out of 10.
Remember, it's a copper mask that you can breathe and it sucks into your
face. Yeah.
Unless Mike has the best properties. Mike has the strongest lungs of any human in history.
I mean, he gets shot a lot and lives. So.
Yeah, it's true. I will give it a 6 out of 10 also. 6 out of 10, just, being a cool kid with your baseball glove, bicycling out of I don't know why the fuck you would be bicycling somewhere to play baseball with nobody. And getting sawed almost in half by a maniac with a chainsaw from his open window of his car. Danny, what rating would you give Truth or Dare 1986, A Critical Madness?
I'm going to give it, as far as a bad, enjoyable movie goes,
it's still an 8,
still 8
out of 10 for me.
I give it a solid 9 or something, because it was really bad and fun.
But it's very enjoyable though, yeah.
As far as a movie, it's getting a 3. But okay, but okay, now I'd say it's high up there. It's a 9, it's very enjoyable. Out of 10, you're a cop trying to hunt down a bad guy, so you murder a homeless man. by setting him on fire.
Which is, sometimes you got to do it. You just have to. You have to.
Sometimes you have to blow up a shed.
And then you feel almost no guilt afterwards as you get paraded by your boss.
You gotta take a little to give a little. You know what I'm saying? So with that, Thea, what's the final word?
Bubbles.
Danny, what's the final word?
Fulfillment.
The HorrorDeconstruction.